Hello, I'm Kaylin Alexander, and this is IRHS Alumni. Where are they now? This week we catch up with 2015 graduate Kyle Flaherty. Kyle, where are you now?
Hey, Caitlin. Yeah, thanks for having me. My name is Kyle Flaherty. I'm a 2015 graduate of Indian River High School, and currently I live in Central Virginia, where I am a cybersecurity engineer at Capital One. Prior to that, I went to college at Wake Forest University in North Carolina. I graduated in 2019, and then, like I said, I moved up here and started work as a cybersecurity engineer at Capital One.
How would you describe your time at Wake Forest University? And what was your major?
Yeah, so after graduating from Indian River in 2015, I then went and enrolled at Wake Forest University in North Carolina, where I majored in computer science. What really drove me to Wake Forest was its small faculty to student ratio. So basically, for every class I was in, there was about 15 to 20 students. This allowed me to build some really intimate relationships with my professors and really get to know them on a personal level and not just, see them as a teacher. Some of them became my friends. Some of them, ultimately became my colleagues at work. And I think that's something that's really special about going to a smaller university. And it's something that afforded me a lot of really unique opportunities.
How did you end up visiting New Zealand?
Yeah, that's a good question. So what happened was, and I kind of touched on this earlier, was I actually developed a really good relationship with an education professor, nonetheless. And her and I got to talking about, what did I want to do in life. And I mentioned that, I was really interested in computer science. And she said, hey, I have a friend who lives in New Zealand that does, computer science. He's a computer scientist over there. I can connect you to. So after connecting with him, and going back and forth and talking with Wake Forest and stuff, we were able to basically set me up on a program where I enrolled at Butler University for a semester, and then ultimately through them enrolled at University of Auckland, where I then studied software construction in New Zealand for 6 months. And let me tell you, Doc has seen some of the crazy things that I did over there. It was an absolutely amazing experience, and I highly recommend anybody who goes to college explore studying abroad. It's a lot more accessible and affordable than you would think.
Now, you were a shy student when you enrolled in a high school public speaking class, but eventually you became a conference champion in poetry interpretation. How did you make that happen?
Yeah, it's funny you say that because you're right. When I showed up in Doc's class, I was very shy. I was very unsure of myself. And public speaking, quite frankly, was not something I enjoyed. I took the class out of necessity. In fact, I took the class because I was asked to be the best man in a wedding. And I didn't want to show up and give a horrible best man speech. So I took the class, and I quickly found public speaking was definitely something I was bad at. Now, how did I take that and ultimately propel myself to public speaking being something I love and something I do all the time? Well, the short answer is practice, right? There's no substitution for practice. But one thing that really, kind of changed my perspective on public speaking was the fact that nobody's rooting for you to fail. People think that when they get up there, they're worried they're going to fail, right? We've all seen somebody give a speech and it goes bad. Nobody starts clapping, right? Nobody's rooting for you to fail. People are hoping for you to do well. So when you get up there, assume that everybody's cheering you on, and all they want is for you to do a great job and have a great speech.
What advice would you give Kyle Flaherty as he is about to leave home for Wake Forest University?
Yeah, so the biggest piece of advice I would give myself is don't sacrifice your identity to make others happy. So the biggest problem that I found when I went to college is, I really wanted friends, right? The fact of the matter is I was in a new place. I knew nobody at this college, and I wanted friends. And I found pretty quickly that I was losing a large part of myself. I was acting in ways that I never had acted before. I was dressing in ways that I had never dressed before. I was doing things that I simply wouldn't have done before. And that was fine, right? I had a group of friends, but eventually, the music stops and you're left standing there like, oh, what the heck? What am I doing? And I was very sad when all of that happened. And eventually, I came back into myself, and ultimately I attracted people like me, like myself. And I never thought they were there, but just being yourself, being proud to be your authentic self, you'll attract other people like you. And maybe you'll encourage somebody else to be their authentic selves. And, so my biggest advice to myself would be don't sacrifice your identity to make friends. You never, ever have to do that.
Lastly, what advice would you give to current IRHS seniors?
Yeah, that's a really good question. And my advice would be to all the graduating seniors, and really you'll experience this now, but you'll experience this every time you make a major event. You get your first job, you get your first car, you go to college, whatever it may be. Whenever there's a big life-changing event like graduating high school, people are going to come to you with advice. They're going to say, oh, I did this and this happened, or I did this and this happened. And what I'm getting at is don't make somebody else's story your story. Because the fact of the matter is, I can get up here and I can tell you about all the things that I did to get to here, but along that journey, and along everyone's journey, whether they like to admit it or not, there's elements of luck. Yes, there's nothing that will, substitute hard work, but everybody has a certain degree of luck in their life. So when people are giving you advice and they're saying, I did A, B, and C, and now the result is D, don't go and try and do A, B, and C, because the fact of the matter is you'll very likely have a different outcome. Take their story, take pieces of it, take themes from their story, and craft your own. Because the fact of the matter is, it's your journey, you're in charge of it, and you're the driver of this boat.
Thank you so much for joining us. I thank this week's guest, Kyle Flaherty. This was IRHS Alumni, Where Are They Now? And I'll see you next week. Remember, rivers never go reverse, so try to live like a river. Forget your past and focus on your future. Braves are who we are, and rise is what we do. Bye, Braves.